Hello everyone, and welcome to Southern Utah Interview. I'm Nic Chamberlain, and today we have the pleasure of being here with Commissioner Jim Eardley of the Washington County Commission. Commissioner Eardley, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Nick, for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you.
We appreciate your time.
Betcha.
Well, how long have you been doing this?
Just a bit over 10 years. Came on in 99 and in my third term about halfway through.
Knowing what you know now, would you have gotten involved again? Would you do it again?
Well, you know, serving on the county commission has always been an interest of mine. Always interested in local government. I spent a little time in the St. George City Council. Moved over to here, and have enjoyed it thoroughly. I'll tell you, it's a lot bigger challenge than it appears to me outside. Until you get in, you don't really understand the time commitment, the involvement that it requires to fill the job. But would I do it again? You bet, I'd do it again. It's a real pleasure and joy to serve in this capacity, the citizens of our county.
What do you wish the citizens of the county knew about the job of the county commissioner?
Well, you know, I think surveys have been run by our state association, as a matter of fact, and the least understood or the least amount of awareness of government is county government, and it's probably the government that impacts individuals more than the more local government is, the more it impacts your life. And there's less known about county government than any other level of government. So you know, the task is formidable for us to somehow get the word out to the community, what we're trying to accomplish, the variety of things that we do, how it impacts them. You know, we try to maintain a relationship with the media. We have, in our case, a spectrum in here to many of our meetings, not all of them. We have our meetings televised. And all in an effort to try to get out there what's going on in the commission and how it will impact, you know, the people who live here in the county.
It's been said that all politics is local.
Yeah, it's true.
What does it say about a citizenry that pays more attention to that politics which is less important in their lives, and that which impacts them the most, they seem to brush off? Well,
it seems, you know, and I guess we're all a little bit the same. The national political scene and the state political scene are more glitzy. I mean, there's wide interest in that. The media picks up on it.
Are you saying you're not glitzy?
We may not be glitzy, yeah, but it's more entertaining, I think. The numbers they use are bigger. You know, the problems are more fantastic, and the issues certainly impact us all. But what really comes into play in our lives are the local issues, and we want the folks to know what's going on here in the county.
I hear you just came back from Washington D.C. What was it like out there?
Well, it wasn't happy. It was we attended meetings for 5 days back in D.C. and there's a lot of concern about the economy, and that was the dominant discussion, is how are we going to survive this economic downturn, what it means to county government, sources of revenue, how to replenish them, what to do in case of, of a continuing downturn. Tax revenues continue to drop, particularly sales tax revenues everyone's concerned about. Property taxes are an issue, but that was the topic, and I'm afraid there was far too much discussion, in my opinion, on how to raise revenue at the expense of the taxpayer, really how to ding the taxpayer more than trying to find good solutions to economize. That was my concern. Who was
advocating that the way to raise revenue is to do it through the taxpayer?
Well, almost everywhere I went. I sit on the on NACO's, National Association of Counties, subcommittee for transportation, one of my assignments. And transportation has been heavily impacted with the cost of materials, road construction, the growing need that we have, the decline in revenue from road tax, the decline in revenue from sales tax affecting some road departments throughout the country as they have an increment on sales tax. So those are the kinds of things that were talked about. There was a lot of discussion about a VMT, vehicle mile tax, to offset the decline in fuel tax, because there's alternate fuel vehicles, there's hybrids, there's economizing of various kinds coming down, and impacting the revenue stream. So there was a lot of discussion about this VMT tax, and a dramatic increase in federal fuel tax. And most everyone there was in favor of it. And for those of us that were in opposition, saying, why don't we deal with the real issue? Why don't we really get after the cause of all this? And that's the availability of resource and domestic use of our resources, developing oil shale, developing tar sands, developing ANWR in Alaska, offshore drilling, things like that. Fuels and technology we know works. Why don't we look at reducing the cost through developing those supplies? And when we would try to bring discussions like that to the forefront, we were immediately dismissed by those others that had already bought into the fact that the only solution to the problem was to simply increase revenue.
The divide that you just described, is it basically just a division amongst Republicans and Democrats?
I would say it's more of a division between East and West. We see, much of the population is in the eastern part of our country. The destinations are closer back there. We get out here in the West, where there's a lot of open space. To go anywhere, it usually requires a fair amount of travel. And we depend on our road systems. Back east, there's more public transportation systems, rail systems, rapid transit bus, things of that nature that carry a lot of people. But out here, we don't have that luxury. We don't have the ability to do it. We don't have the tax base to accomplish those kind of things, and there isn't a public demand for them either. So, it was interesting to go back there and hear that concern and hear those solutions brought forward, but at the same time it was pretty discouraging too. It made me really concerned about where we're going to go.
How do you feel about the state legislature's, role they've played in your functions? Have they given you the freedom that you feel you deserve, or have they been on your back too much?
I think mostly the legislature probably doesn't have a whole lot of, in some cases, a lot of confidence in county government. And we are agents of the state. County government is. They control us pretty well. And one of the concerns I have is, and I should say that the people that I know, that I'm personally acquainted with that serve in the legislature, are fine people, and they have high levels of integrity, and they're genuinely concerned about what's in the best interest for the public. But they also have an ability collectively, when they meet together on the 45-day session, of dealing with issues that severely impact local government, the counties. And it's been said that when the state sneezes, the counties catch pneumonia. And that's probably a little truer than we even realize. But they can, by their legislative power, shift, for instance, tax burdens from the state, from that which is the legislature is responsible for, directly to counties, to local governments, creating a shortfall on their end, requiring us to pick up that shortfall on our end. And examples of that could be match money for public health or behavioral health, even roads, things of that nature, where they would withhold maybe some levels of revenue through sales tax, through distribution, or road tax, requiring us to make up the shortfall then through a tax increase to our citizens here in Washington County, and at the same time reducing perhaps taxes statewide. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense sometimes.